After almost 10 times losing the battle over the Bill Hinman emails, the SEC is now attempting to keep the public from seeing them in typical SEC ways. In this video, I want to discuss what the SEC is attempting to convey and whether it will be successful. Hello, and welcome back to XRP Ripple News, where we bring you the most recent and intriguing XRP news. We're giving away 500 XRP to those who are watching. All you have to do is upvote, subscribe, comment XRP is king, and watch the video to the end to be eligible. After all, what the SEC is doing is completely absurd, and you guys won't believe it. Because I also want to demonstrate something crucial that will greatly aid in your comprehension of why a settlement is actually quite practical. In this instance, I want to share with you a video in which a former SEC attorney explains why the current rippling SEC case may put the SEC in serious legal jeopardy. Since many in the XRP community believe that the SEC has little chance of defeating Ripple, I believe that it is very crucial to keep an eye on this. But in the end, we are a little biased since we all own XRP. If you stick around for that, I'll show you a former SEC lawyer who says exactly what we have been saying for a while. When people first discover XRP, all they hear is that it's centralized. Therefore, I want to start this video by showing you this meme because I think it's quite relatable and probably how a lot of people felt at that time. It's worthless. It's nothing like Bitcoin since Bitcoins are actual cryptocurrencies, whereas XRP is only a banker's coin. However, after doing some investigation, you start to gradually realize that XRP is actually fully decentralized and has a DEX built into it, unlike nearly every other cryptocurrency out there. It is scalable, offers quick 3-second transaction times, and charges little. And since it honestly hardly ever receives any attention, the fact that it is deflationary is my personal favorite aspect of the whole thing. Guys, it's really hard to understand why our XRP, which has so many of these incredible characteristics, receives so little attention compared to the other crypto assets available. Don't even look at XRP, it's not worth it, say huge media platforms and influential people, and yet so many people simply buy into this story. Consider this. Instead, XRP must be viewed as a banker's coin. But people, it's really amusing because you realize that XRP is by far the ideal cryptocurrency for our foreseeable financial system once you go deeper and just look at what's actually there. Additionally, the fact that these significant organizations are being helped by Ripple to adopt cryptocurrency technology, specifically using XRP, is aiding these established companies. Guys, there is just another factor in my opinion that makes XRP such a special wager in this system. Because of who the product is being marketed to, I believe it to be one of the safest bets with some of the greatest upside possibilities. The biggest players are being pushed with it. The conventional players who require this technology are being pushed toward it. And guys, there's the reason I think this is such a great chance in this area, because I want to move on and speak about something incredibly bizarre that is currently occurring in the Ripple SEC case. It appears that the SEC, after being informed that they are not permitted to do so, will agree with Torres that the Hinman speech materials are protected by these privileges. Judges Torres and Nepper were followed by men who repeatedly held the SEC. The Ethereum of Hinman. There are no court orders that safeguard the free pass speech documents. The SEC continues to assert that they believe they are protected. Guys, this is a slap in the face to the judges who have already made several decisions on this matter. The fact that this simply demonstrates their belief in being above the law is much more alarming. Jeremy Hogan tweeted that the SEC is continuing to assert that the Hinman emails are privileged despite having already lost that argument a staggering 100 times. This greatly intrigues me to learn what is included in them. Guys, I couldn't agree more with Jeremy Hogan. It is astonishing that the SEC is so afraid that they are actively trying to hide these papers in defiance of court orders. These requirements must be so awful for the SEC to deviate from the expected course of conduct during a court case. And when Horace's critics see this, they will laugh in their faces. Judge Torres has already ruled several times that these records are not getting sealed, therefore there is no way she will allow them to be sealed. because these documents are already in Ripple. These are already admissible in their legal argument against the SEC. However, the SEC is now scared of people seeing them. The main justification for why these can't be seen is the SEC. I'll let Jeremy Hogan make things simple. Words probably do it better than I do. Also take notice of the SEC's desire to keep these emails private, he added, since doing so would prevent it from making similar claims in the future. And gentlemen, the SEC is suggesting that the email shouldn't be made public because otherwise the SEC could get into trouble if someone decides to use these emails against the SEC. That is not a legitimate justification for sealing these documents, according to Jeremy Hogan. And folks, we simply see that the SEC is so out of line here once more. They are making every effort to keep these communications from becoming public knowledge. Since this is a repeat of what people were saying previously, he definitely won't want the public to learn about these emails. This only demonstrates how desperate they are. Unfortunately, we won't know if we will see the precise emails about which the SEC is so concerned until summary judgment, because Judge Torres will finally make the decision. Will they be accessible to the general public for our viewers? The SEC is attempting valiantly to object, but I believe Judge Torres will disagree. And I believe that the SEC is aware that it is unlikely that they will remain private. Therefore, the SEC's only option to stop these from being seen is to resolve this case, because it always comes back to the same problem. What we observe is that the SEC is so frightened of being exposed that they are prepared to disregard several court orders and guise. Even though the judge ruled that they were not covered by privilege, I believe John D., and put a great argument forth that the SEC is trying to steal from the public all of Hinman's drafts and emails related to his speech. I'm curious as to why it sounds like Jeremy Hogan and John D. are both really dubious about what is contained in those emails, who are both extremely intelligent lawyers. Both individuals believe that these communications must be incredibly incriminating for the SEC to act in this manner. And in these tweets, they both make references to it. Now that that is out of the way, guys, let me show you a former SEC official discussing how bad of a position the SEC is currently in. I constantly discuss how the SEC is in a bad spot with regard to this case regarding why XRP is not a security, as well as with regard to disclosing information to the public like the Hinman emails. Now, the SEC can only get away with this by settling the lawsuit. That way, if they do lose to Ripple in this instance, they can undo all the harm they are about to suffer because, as you're about to hear from a former SEC officer, this is not some fanciful hypothesis put up by XRP holders. It's not just the XRP lawyers that are discussing this. No one else is speaking either. Because I want you to hear the exact same thing from a former SEC official. Listen up, because I believe this will only increase your confidence in how horrible of a situation the SEC is currently in. And to me, there is the enigma of what the SEC did in this situation. Because I believe the SEC has buried their regulatory effort on crypto assets if they lose this case on the merits. I believe they chose a very, very sympathetic defendant to go after here because Ripple Labs wasn't operating a business similar to the Silk Road. They weren't moving, and it's possible that they weren't conducting any pointless errands either. If you take a look at some of the early enforcement actions that the SEC took in the ICO cases, you'll see that they were taken against frivolous firms and that they were ridiculous. You know that it's just, the Munchie token or the just stuff that people had obviously just sort of conjured up to gather money from investors and offices. And a craze was in full swing. However, Ripple Labs has a legitimate company, the interbank market is a sizable market, and they developed a disruptive solution for it. Likewise the Ripple Labs. It was a large corporation, but I can't recall what its most recent private valuation was. Before you even consider the investors that lost money as a result of the SEC's action, it wasn't some tiny little company somewhere. The judge doesn't look like someone like me, a capital markets lawyer or a corporate lawyer. I don't know anything about the judge other than what I learned from reading her Wikipedia entry. She was a New York State judge for a long time and may have had some experience in the criminal audit. You know, who could be open to the SEC's points of view. You know, the SEC frequently pursues cases that, in my opinion as a securities attorney, are a foregone conclusion. Obviously, the SEC is correct. And sure enough, they go before a federal court where, you know, the judge does not pass the day fixated on the federal securities code. They take a more pragmatic approach and say, "What the heck are you doing?" I believe there is a significant risk for the SEC, but that is what will happen to them in this situation. The likelihood that a court may observe a legitimate business that has been effectively closed down, or that, after many years of operation, will be effectively closed down. You're going on Clayton's last day in office, and they are undesirable facts in the eyes of the SEC. And you are aware of what everyone is claiming: bad facts make the legislation valid. And I believe that the SEC is actually at risk of having their regulatory authority restricted in this situation. Guys, as you can see from that, the SEC's own officials are saying these things as well. They are aware that the SEC is in serious problems. Guys, let's watch how the SEC reacts. Will they settle and leave this situation before it's too late, or will they let it go and risk stifling their own agency? Let's wait and see what transpires, but for the time being, I wish everyone a happy day.